So COD World War II has in fact launched, and by now I'm sure a lot of you guys have picked it up for yourselves, checked it out, played a lot of it, grinded it out all night, whatever it may be, whether or not you stayed up to ungodly hours of the night, or you played a little bit, or maybe you didn't even play at all. Whatever it is, the game is out, and we have a ton of stuff in front of us, from both the base game that we have right now, and the stuff that we have to look forward to in the future, that being actual massive DLC packs, community events, all kinds of stuff that may be on the horizon. But right now, I'll be totally honest with you guys, I have not been this excited for a launch in years. And there's a lot of different reasons that go into this, because for the first time in a while, I actually do end up having that actual feeling of wanting so badly to just grind out the game. And that's once again something I haven't felt in a long time. So today I want to talk about some of the things that I think make Call of Duty World War II absolutely fantastic, great, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to be giving you guys a list of 7 things that you guys may or may not agree with, but that's totally cool if you do or do not. We're all entitled to our own opinions, and of course, if you guys have a different one, I totally respect that. But that said, some of these are going to range from different gameplay mechanics and things you'll find in-game, some things being small little Easter eggs, some things dealing with new or improved features from what we've seen thus far or that are brand new altogether. So that said, putting the basis down here, now let's jump right into what I believe are the 7 things that make Call of Duty World War II great. So the first thing up is one that I'm probably sure a lot of you guys are having a great time in, that being headquarters. Now, this is something that of course is brand new to Call of Duty World War II and the Call of Duty franchise in general, and it's something that we've seen elsewhere in, say, other things like Destiny in the Activision branch themselves, but a social feature in space is something that has been in a lot of different games across the video game industry, but having implemented it into Call of Duty World War II is something that changes the game of how players interact with each other in Call of Duty perhaps forever. And I'd be really intrigued to see if this becomes a staple thing that we end up seeing in every game moving forward within this. Like we saw, Advanced Warfare introduced the supply drop system. Since then, we've had supply drops ever since. And so this next big leap in terms of large features coming to Call of Duty, this could, moving forward, be one of those things that is an absolute staple for the franchise as a whole. And I think that'd be actually great, because there's a lot of stuff to do here. There's really cool innovation with how we change some of the things we've already seen in Call of Duty, how they're implemented, stuff like that. But the headquarters feature, I think, is just great overall because of how inclusive it is. It has almost anything you could need, from your firing range, supply drops, orders and contracts, different things like that just keep the game all focused, and you can hang out with your friends while you do it as well too, which is definitely nice. Now the next thing I want to talk about that is a great feature, I think, moving forward in this, and one of the things that makes World War II great, deals actually with something in the headquarters itself. That being the collection system from the Quartermaster. Now, we've talked about this a couple of times leading up until the launch of Call of Duty World War II, how we thought it was going to work, how we knew it was going to work at one point, and now I just want to kind of recap on that and look back at what we now have available to all of us. The collection system is exactly what Modern Warfare Remastered system was like with supply drops, in which all the content is available there within collections as it's branded. Now, each collection reward has a number of different things underneath it, to which you can end up chipping away at specific things that you end up wanting. So if you're really looking forward to that MP40 variant, but you don't necessarily want to open a ton of supply drops, you can chip away at it with your armory credits and eventually work your way up to actually ending up getting that specific thing you want. Instead of previously in supply drops, we end up having a chance of like 3 out of 4,000 items or something like that. But what is also awesome about this one is that, unlike Modern Warfare Remastered system, is that you can actually get those specific weapon variants too out of drops. You don't have to simply chip away at them the entire time. You do have the chance of getting them out of supply drops as well too, which is pretty sweet, I think. It offers on one hand one way to get something, but for those that don't want to do it that way, they can do it another. So I think it's just a great compromise for the systems that we've seen thus far, and kind of rounds it back up to being something that right now seems a little bit more acceptable. Of course, once they add in actual DLC weapons, that's going to change some people's minds, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. The next thing I want to talk about actually deals with the Division system, but more so the Division Prestige system, because I've actually become a big fan of this out of the past day and a half to 2 days that I've been playing this game, because while on the surface it's just something else that you can end up ranking up, the system itself is actually pretty cool, because when you take a look at it, there's a lot more past Division 1 that you might not really care too much about, but once you reach that first division, it really becomes something great, because you can end up unlocking that classified weapon, and that is something you can do at your own pace. Now in my case, what I did was I actually ended up ranking up my Airborne Division to Prestige Prestige 1 by about rank 20 to 23, I believe, so it didn't take that long, because especially when you consider how quickly those lower levels end up passing by, it's something you can get that prestige for that division rather quickly and then attain whatever weapon you want out of this. And of course, in my case, I love the MP40 from E3. I thought it was great. It still is great, and I got to unlock it a lot faster than, say, if it was placed at a highest unlock level for the actual ranking system. So if I had to rank up to, like, say, rank 50 or so to unlock it, that would kind of suck, but instead, I got it very quickly, and of course, the best part about all of it is that unlocked weapons stay unlocked even after you prestige, because they're two separate systems that don't intertwine or interconnect with each other. There's something that's, once you unlock those division weapons, you can keep them. So that said, while in my case, once again, I'll be jumping into Prestige 1 in a couple of hours of playtime, maybe within the next day or so whenever I actually jump back on the console. That's something that once I hit first Prestige, I'll be able to jump back in with the MP40, a weapon that I use consistently, and still do well with it, because whereas previously it's that higher unlock level, it is something that you can do it at your own pace, and it's there forever. So I'm a huge fan of how this one works out. It's probably one of my favorite things out of Call of Duty World War II thus far, and of course, I think it's something that you should totally check out if you have not done so already. The next thing I want to discuss is orders and contracts, because this adds a little bit more depth to the contract system that we've known about in previous titles from both Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, and it offers a lot more in terms of immediate rewards. Previously, we ended up getting, in say Black Ops 3, one contract per day and week with only one reward. But whereas in the contract system within World War II, it's very similar to Black Ops, the original's system, in which you can end up buying certain things for challenges, and then it will give you a reward if you end up completing it in the certain time frame that you have. Now, whereas that's cool, on the flip side, orders are actually free. You don't have to use any armory credits or anything like that to end up activating them, and you can activate up to 3 of both the daily and weekly. Now, of course, this is great because it can give you a wide variety of different rewards, such as double XP, double weapon XP, supply drops, rare supply drops, social score, and all that kind of cool stuff there encompassed within it. So that actually leads me then into my next point, that supply drops are much easier to obtain than in previous titles. Now, whereas it started out with Advanced Warfare, you'd end up getting a supply drop every random few levels, and then of course, once advanced supply drops were introduced, you could get them for levels incrementally in, say, I think it was increments of 10, and then prestiging as well too. That's probably the thing that it's most similar to, but it's still not even really all that similar to nowadays. Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare, you had to grind out keys, and it was very ineffective in trying to get a lot of them fast. But World War II, that is where it changes, because not only do you get supply drops, what seems to be based off of performance, also off of rank, you can also get them randomly after every single game, very similar to how CSGO does the case drops at the end of matches, where players will randomly be selected to get them. And what's nice about this, instead of CSGO, is you don't have to buy a key to open the drop. It's just there in your inventory. As well, the orders and contract system is fantastic, because they're very simple challenges, and you can end up getting supply drops and rare supply drops in very quick succession by just simply completing these orders and contracts. So there's a lot of different ways you can get supply drops. You can end up getting roughly about, say, 4 probably just out of game time and gameplay, and then if you end up throwing in orders and contracts, you can probably get up to, say, 8 or so in an hour, which is fantastic compared to the previous years in which 30 crypto keys or 30 keys in general probably took you about 2 hours of game time, and that's one supply drop, or one rare supply drop. So I'm a huge fan of how this has turned around thus far. Now, of course, whenever things go awry in the future with COD points and the surely probable implementation of being able to pay for supply drops and DLC weapons, of course, that'll have an effect on the tune that I sing at that point, but for the time being, I think they are much better and much easier to obtain. So that said, that moves us over into the next thing, that dealing with some small little Easter eggs. Now, this one is very small, and many people may not care about it all that much, simply because you actually have to be engaged with these sort of things. You can do things such as picking up the gridiron ball in headquarters. You can find different things like sledgehammers scattered across the headquarters as well too. There's just a lot of things that went into these small details that we probably would overlook unless somebody brought it to our attention, that Sledgehammer really put time into, and I think that's awesome, just to try and keep people immersed and focused on every little small aspect of the game. I think to me that is great. It shows the attention to detail there within, and I'm excited to see what else we can find here out of the next coming days that we maybe end up seeing in terms of Easter egg wise. Now the final thing that I want to talk about here to round out these 7 things that I think make COD World War II absolutely great is the weapon diversity. This deals once again going back to our very early statements about some things dealing with gameplay experiences and everything like that. This is how the weapons themselves perform in game. Now I'm not going to say that I enjoy weapons that are OP, that are underperforming, whatever it may be, but I'm more so focused on the weapon diversity within this one, because while I'm a creature of habit and I use a bunch of the same weapons all the time, from what I've seen, there's not really all that many weapons that stand out just yet. Everybody's focused on what weapon they can do well with and experimenting around with a lot of other things. And I think that is a testament maybe to just the honeymoon factor of the game where everybody wants to see what's new and available to them. But I also think it's a testament to how the development of the game itself worked, that all these weapons are comparable. All of them really stand a chance in a gunfight, and it comes down to the user at that point and how they utilize it. So I think that's great because I see things like the MP40s, the PPSH, the M1, the M1A1s, the FG42s, M1903s, the combat shotgun, the Lewis, and other MGs. All of it. There's literally in every game somebody running around with every sort of weapon that you can have in the game itself. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. Now, of course, I think that will be subject to change once people find their grooves, they find weapons that they feel are better than others. But for the time being, I think it's awesome that really there's no super overpowered weapon right off the bat, or not many of them. So that said, that's going to round out these 7 things that I think make Call of Duty World War II great. You guys, once again, could totally disagree, could agree with every point. Whatever it is, though, it's all up to you guys, personal preference based, and I totally respect whatever it is you believe. But that said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and if you guys did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe to stay up to date with everything we have here regarding Call of Duty World War II. I got a ton of stuff planned here on the horizon that I think you guys definitely will enjoy, so if you don't want to miss any of that, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a beat. And finally, if you guys want to follow me over on Twitter, that's the best place to get connected with me outside of YouTube. I practically live on Twitter, so if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, link is down there in the description below. But all that said, out of the way, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care, and peace.